A modified sapphire blue supercar pulled up in front of the Awake bar. Awake was the largest bar in City A, famously extravagant, a playground where the children of wealthy families and minor celebrities flocked. As the car door opened, a server hurried over to greet him. "Young Master Chen is here." Kiao Chen stepped out, gave a slight nod, tossed the car keys to the attendant, and strode purposefully inside. By the time he arrived, almost everyone else was already there. The private room couldn't fit everyone, so they'd taken over most of the lounge seating area. Zhou Yuan punched Kiao Chen lightly in the chest. "Way to go, Brother Chen. So you've already secured that plot of land in the north?" Ji Lei chimed in. "Hey, for our Brother Chen, that's a piece of cake, isn't it?" Kiao Chen smiled. "All right, that's enough." Before Kiao Chen could react, Ji Lei grabbed a bottle of champagne and popped the cork, aiming it straight at him. The liquid shot out in a beautiful arc, spraying directly onto Kiao Chen. Before Kiao Chen could even warm up, he was drenched. He cursed with a laugh, fixing his eyes on Ji Lei. Ji Lei didn't give him a chance to retaliate. With a whoa, he ducked behind the crowd. "Congratulations, Brother Chen. Brother Chen's the man." Kiao Chen grinned, little parentheses appearing at the corners of his mouth. The Kiao family owned a chain of department stores. Kiao Chen was the only son, with an older sister above him. He'd spent 3 or 4 years abroad for his final year of undergrad and his master's degree, and had only just returned not long ago. This was his first project since coming back, and it was a promising start. After that lively opening, Kiao Chen changed his clothes and returned to drink. A few rounds later, the conversation grew more animated. Zhou Yuan started stirring the pot. "Chen, how come our girl Zhao Lu didn't come?" Lu Zhao's family ran an entertainment company. The two families were close, and for years there had been talk of setting the two of them up. But Kiao Chen saw Lu Zhao as just a buddy, and she felt the same way. It was just that lately she'd been getting very cozy with a male celebrity. The group felt Kiao Chen was being made a cuckold, and brought it up every day to tease him. As soon as Zhou Yuan asked the question, he regretted it a little. He hadn't learned his lesson before. When others joked about it, that was one thing. But why did he have to join in? Fortunately, Kiao Chen's expression remained unchanged. "Can stuff our families joke about really count? Lu Zhao just isn't my type." As soon as the words left his mouth, a woman's voice suddenly came from the stage. A smoky voice, low and husky. Hearing that voice, Kiao Chen froze completely. He jerked his head toward the stage in disbelief, momentarily speechless. Zhou Yuan saw the person on stage and was instantly struck dumb too. What a coincidence, thinking of someone and they appear. Only Ji Lei, ever oblivious, followed Kiao Chen's gaze and still didn't recognize her. He even asked, "Brother Chen likes that type?" Zhou Yuan snapped out of it, frowned, and gave Ji Lei a solid thump. "Fan Xing." The music in the bar was too loud. Ji Lei didn't hear clearly. He asked earnestly, "What star?" Zhou Yuan rubbed his temples hard. Before he could say anything else, they heard the sound of a glass being slammed onto the table. During the quiet moment between songs, it sounded especially sharp. Everyone in the vicinity fell silent, watching as Kiao Chen's expression changed. In the next second, Kiao Chen stood up and walked straight toward the backstage area. Zhou Yuan glanced toward the stage Fan Xing had left, and someone else had taken over. Ji Lei was confused. "You didn't just say Fan Xing, did you?" Zhou Yuan looked at Ji Lei, his expression one of exasperation. "Idiot." Backstage, the door at the end of the corridor was open, and a gust of wind rushed in. Kiao Chen had walked in a hurry without his jacket and shivered from the cold. He'd already had a bit to drink, and now he felt dizzy, unsure where to go. He searched aimlessly, not stopping until he saw a familiar figure emerge from a doorway. A short black down jacket, skinny jeans. Kiao Chen watched, his throat tightening. Wasn't she supposed to be auditioning all this time? Even though she hadn't made any waves with her work lately, she still shouldn't be here. He didn't know how he managed to speak. Fan Xing. The figure in front of him stopped. If eyes were a camera, this scene would be in slow motion. Fan Xing turned around in disbelief. Delicate, exquisite features, long black curly hair. Her face was made up with smoky eye makeup, as if to match the bar's vibe. In the empty, brightly lit corridor, the two faced each other in silence. After a long moment, Kiao Chun spoke first. He hadn't expected them to meet under these circumstances. He hadn't meant to say this, but somehow, the words came out harshly. Fan Xing, impressive. Without me, you've fallen so low you're singing in bars for money. Hearing this, Fan Xing finally snapped back to reality. She didn't know what she felt, lowered her head with a self-mocking smile. Then she turned and walked away without a word, without hesitation. Kiao Chun took 2 steps forward after her, his heart clenching. His head cleared considerably, and he clenched his fists in frustration. Before him was empty space. This feeling of a lifetime passing made him doubt. Had he really just seen Fan Xing? 6 years ago, Fan Xing was a student in the acting department at the Capital Academy of Drama. Kiao Chun was in the same year, studying finance at the neighboring University of Finance and Economics. They met at Luo Xin's birthday party. Luo Xin was Fan Xing's roommate, from a well-off family, cheerful and outgoing. Since they were close, Fan Xing naturally attended. Kiao Chun happened to be there with friends, and the two groups ended up at the same bar. Kiao Chun was wearing a black hoodie back then, standing out the most in the crowd. Even though they weren't from the same school, Kiao Chun was quite famous among them. A rich second generation, good grades, handsome, but he'd never been in a relationship and was never seen getting close to any girl. Many girls had tried to hit on him, but none succeeded. Everyone said this young Master Kiao lived a very ascetic life, wasting such good conditions. The crowd at Luo Xin's birthday party were all lively and could hold their liquor, especially Fan Xing. Her dad liked to drink. Rumor had it that when she was little, he dipped chopsticks in liquor and put them in her mouth, though her dad never admitted to it. By the latter half of the party, Luo Xin had blown out the birthday candles, and the group was pretty drunk. Many people kept glancing in Kiao Chun's direction. Fan Xing also took a couple of looks. Upon closer inspection, his looks really weren't bad. Noticing Fan Xing's gaze was toward Kiao Chun, Luo Xin went over and patted her shoulder. "My darling Xing Xing." Fan Xing was startled by such a mushy address. "Can't you say what you need to properly?" Luo Xin grinned, pointing toward Kiao Chun. "If you can get his phone number, sis will treat you to lunch for a month." Fan Xing glanced at Kiao Chun. "You fancy him?" Luo Xin shook her head. "I think you two would be a good match." "Cut the nonsense. A month of lunch, really." Luo Xin waved her hand grandly. "Absolutely." Fan Xing grinned. "Just you wait." Luo Xin thought Fan Xing would go straight over to Kiao Chun, but instead, she went on stage. She chatted with the resident singer for a bit, then tested the mic with a couple of pops. Then, a woman's voice filled the bar. "Hello everyone, I'm Fan Xing. Today is my best friend's." Fan Xing pointed at Luo Xin. Sister Xin's birthday. The bar was full of young people anyway. Hearing this, they all caught on. Some cheering, some whistling. Luo Xin was stunned. Coming back to her senses, she laughed, then looked at Kiao Chun. Sure enough, the young man's attention had been drawn to Fan Xing. Luo Xin mouthed from a distance. "Incredible." Fan Xing smiled. "This next song is for Sister Xin. May she have a happy second 18th birthday today." Fan Xing cleared her throat. The song she sang was one everyone was familiar with back then. "The brightest star in the night sky." Fan Xing had a smoky voice, extremely magnetic. "I pray to have a transparent heart and eyes that can shed tears. Give me the courage to believe again, to cross over lies and embrace you. Whenever I can't find the meaning of my existence, whenever I'm lost in the dark night." Halfway through the song, people had turned on their phone flashlights in support. When the song ended, the applause was long and sustained. Fan Xing bowed and came down. Not long after Kiao Chun looked away, the surroundings suddenly quieted for a moment. A glass of alcohol was placed on the table in front of him. He looked up. The girl who had just been singing on stage was now standing before him. Zhou Yuan and the others let out suggestive coughs. The corner of Kiao Chun's mouth lifted. "Can I help you?" Fan Xing. "Yes. I'm offering you a drink." As soon as the words were out, Fan Xing immediately leaned close to Qiao Chen's ear. To outsiders, the action looked extremely intimate. Only Qiao Chen knew Fan Xing actually said, "Buddy, I made a bet to get your phone number. If I get it, it's a month of free lunches. Help me out, and I'll split it with you half a month." Qiao Chen was amused by her. Fan Xing straightened up, her eyes fixed on him. The young man had been drinking all night, yet his eyes were remarkably clear. Just as Fan Xing was about to give up, she suddenly heard Qiao Chen's low, mellow voice say, "Deal." Getting the number was one thing. Luo Xin wasn't interested in Qiao Chen, and Fan Xing wasn't at that time either. It was just that the bet for a month of lunches ended up being dodged by Luo Xin for various reasons. In the end, she treated Fan Xing to one big meal, and that settled the wager. If Fan Xing had known what would happen later, she definitely wouldn't have let Luo Xin off so easily. On a certain sunny afternoon, Fan Xing was carrying 2 steamed buns, a portion of food, and a stack of books back to her dorm, when Qiao Chen happened to be accompanying a friend to the drama academy to find someone. Then, their eyes met directly. It was Qiao Chen who saw her first. Remembering what she'd said at the bar, Fan Xing suddenly felt guilty. The next second, she acted as if she'd been stepped on, using the books to hide her face. But it didn't work. "Hey!" A pair of black sneakers appeared on the ground in front of her. Looking up further, there was Qiao Chen, hands in his pockets, standing before her. Devilishly handsome and incredibly smug. "Fan Xing?" Fan Xing was surprised. "How do you know my name?" Qiao Chen chuckled softly. "The person who owes me half a month of lunches. Wouldn't it be too careless if I didn't know that?" He hadn't forgotten. And he said it as if he were very serious. Fan Xing closed her eyes. Words spoken were like water spilled. She forced a smile. "All right." Qiao Chen took her phone number. Looking at the balance in her bank card and thinking of Qiao Chen's face, Fan Xing suddenly felt like she was about to go bankrupt raising a pretty boy. However, after several days of anxiety, he didn't contact her. Just when Fan Xing thought handsome Qiao had forgotten about it, the call came. Fan Xing asked, "The cafeteria at the University of Finance and Economics or the Drama Academy cafeteria?" Qiao Chen's voice rose slightly. "Just the cafeteria? Then what do you want to eat?" Qiao Chen thought for a moment on the other end. "That hot pot place in your school's snack street. I've wanted to try it for a long time." Fan Xing took a deep breath. "Hot pot every day? You have to consider that this poor female college student might go bankrupt. Wasn't this half a month split with me?" "Fan Xing, I thought you wouldn't. So I let her off with just one meal." Qiao Chen almost laughed again. "Well then, I'll consider letting you off with one meal too." Hearing this, Fan Xing felt very relieved. They didn't meet at noon. They arranged for the evening. Fan Xing thought eating one big meal was enough. Having a class right after the first period in the afternoon felt a bit too rushed. Qiao Chen didn't have any objections, so he agreed. It was winter in the first semester of sophomore year, and the weather was gradually turning cold. Fan Xing wore a khaki-colored coat and a thick scarf, making her small face look even more delicate. By the time she arrived, Qiao Chen was already there. A handsome guy attracts attention anywhere. Some people don't think much of it, even if they see them every day. But when someone like that stands there, Fan Xing's heart would race. She took a deep breath, coughed lightly twice, and walked over. Seeing her, Qiao Chen greeted her with a smile. The two walked into the hot pot restaurant, immediately attracting quite a few glances. The server handed over the menu. Fan Xing placed it in front of Qiao Chen. "Order whatever you want, but not too much." The corner of Qiao Chen's mouth lifted. They weren't familiar yet. Fan Xing was a bit reserved, while Qiao Chen seemed unfazed. Fan Xing asked him to order, and he didn't hold back, casually picking a few things. After all, this was the school snack street, and the prices were relatively affordable. Both liked spicy food. The meat and dishes arrived, tossed into the pot. As the broth boiled, it made a gurgling sound, very enticing. Fan Xing followed the principle of eating more meat and talking less, digging in heartily. In contrast, Jen's phone kept ringing one call after another. He looked at his phone with impatience and eventually just turned it off. Fan Xing carefully looked up and asked, "What's wrong?" Kiao Chan glanced at the cautious girl across from him and answered, "It's my birthday today." Huh? Fan Xing almost spat out the meat in her mouth. Kiao Chan added, "Don't want to deal with them. It's too tiring." After saying this, Kiao Chan used the serving chopsticks to casually put 2 pieces of meat into Fan Xing's bowl. Fan Xing instinctively thanked him. Kiao Chan couldn't explain it. Initially, asking Fan Xing to treat him to a meal last time had been mostly a joke. But today, in this moment, this scene, he suddenly felt very grateful to have this person sitting across from him, keeping him company. He came from a good family, had everything he wanted since childhood, but genuinely, there weren't that many drinking buddies always on guard. He had close childhood friends too, but on occasions like this, he always wanted to be with family. However, in a family like his, time spent with parents was always scarce. Family members had high expectations and were strict enough. Every year he hoped, every year it didn't happen. He'd argued with his dad last night, and was really annoyed today, so he didn't want to deal with anyone. That's when he suddenly thought of Fan Xing. The girl across from him kept eating seriously, her cheeks full like a hamster. Seeing he was in a bad mood, she didn't ask too much. Besides being pretty, she had a bit of a charming, naive cuteness. Kiao Chan averted his gaze. By the time they finished eating, it was completely dark outside. The weather was pretty good that day. The night sky was clear, filled with bright stars and a bright moon. Kiao Chan looked down at Fan Xing. "I'll walk you back." Fan Xing's eyes darted around, looking at Kiao Chan. "Wait a moment." As soon as the words were out, before Kiao Chan could stop her, she dashed off. Kiao Chan watched her hurriedly running somewhere, and suddenly smiled. Fan Xing returned quickly. When she came back, Kiao Chen wasn't in the original spot, but had walked to the wall on the other side to smoke. Fan Xing hid what she was carrying behind her back, panting. "Buddy, lend me a light." Kiao Chen thought he misheard. "Huh? Fan Xing, hurry up. Lend me a light." Kiao Chen tossed her the lighter, silver in texture. Fan Xing caught it steadily. The next second, Fan Xing took out the small cake she was holding. The reason it was called small was that the cake was truly tiny, just a corner, a small piece. Young Master Kiao Chen had never had such a small cake on his birthday before. It looked like a green slice of matcha flavor, quite appetizing. "Don't mind it. Anyway, you alone can't eat that much." Kiao Chen laughed. Fan Xing snapped the lighter on. This spot was still some distance from the brightest lights of the snack street. Smoking in a public place, especially a brightly lit one, was really unsightly. So the place Kiao Chen was at happened to be one where the lightest flame, once lit, could illuminate everything in an instant. Fan Xing coughed lightly twice. "Happy birthday. Hurry up and make a wish. Blow out the candle." Kiao Chen said seriously. "I have reason to suspect you want me to be choked to death by the smell of lighter fluid after blowing it out." Fan Xing frowned. "Just blow. Stop with the nonsense." "All right." Kiao Chen closed his eyes seriously. His mind was blank, his head empty. He didn't make a wish at all. He opened his eyes and blew out the candle. As the flame went out, Fan Xing was the first to laugh. The girl's voice was pleasant. Hearing her laugh, a spot in Kiao Chen's heart suddenly softened. He suddenly remembered the first time he saw Fan Xing, the brightest star in the night sky on the smoky bar stage. Right now, she was like the brightest star. Back then, Kiao Chen was often pursued but had never pursued anyone himself. So when he started pursuing someone, the whole world could tell. For example, he would occasionally appear in Fan Xing's open classes, and even sit beside her. Fan Xing sensed something and whispered, "Why are you here again?" Kiao Chen whispered back, "Didn't I tell you last time? I'm very interested in acting." Fan Xing sneered. "Then come to body movement class. After one session, you'll know what it feels like when your legs and feet aren't your own. I can lift my leg over my head. I can lift my shoe over my head." Hearing this, Fan Xing instantly covered her mouth, laughing. Kiao Chen laughed along. After class, the two went to the cafeteria together for a meal, and Kiao Chen walked her back to the dorm. As soon as she entered, Luo Xin, wearing a face mask, peeked out from the upper bunk. TSK, TSK. Fan Xing took off her down jacket and hung her scarf, wound twice, on the clothes hook. TSK what? Luo Xin asked. You and Kiao Chen still haven't settled things. Fan Xing's heart jumped. Pretending to be calm, she asked, settle what? Luo Xin. Playing dumb. Kiao Chen clearly likes you so much, and you haven't really rejected him either. Your relationship is just missing that final layer of window paper, waiting to see who pokes through. Fan Xing was stunned and didn't speak. She quite liked Kiao Chen. It wasn't about anything else. She was happy being with him. Their personalities got along. Although their family backgrounds were very different, Fan Xing was also from a decent family, and hadn't suffered much since childhood. College students, the campus was full of people dating. It was rare to meet someone like him. Dating was fine. Everyone was still young anyway. Spend more time together. If it works, keep going. If not, part ways. What's the big deal? Fan Xing took a deep breath, quietly comforting herself. Just as she took out her phone, she saw a message from Kiao Chen. Kiao Chen. I'm back at school. Fan Xing replied. Yeah. Kiao Chen replied quickly. Why did it take so long to reply? Fan Xing replied. Was chatting with my roommate. Thinking, Fan Xing added another line. Sister Xin. The one who had the birthday at the bar. Kiao Chen understood. What did you talk about? This question seemed rather pointless. What do girls talk about? Kiao Chen probably wouldn't be interested normally. But when it was someone he liked, everything was different. Fan Xing thought for a moment, gathered her courage and boldly replied. Talked about. Sister Xin said you like me. No reply from the other side. The dialog box changed from typing to his contact name, then back to typing. Again, as if he had typed and deleted several times. Finally, a reply came through. I've been so obvious. Aren't you going to give some response? Looking at this sentence, Fan Xing's heart pounded even faster. The corners of her mouth turned up uncontrollably, and she finally laughed out loud. Huh. Luo Xin removed her face mask, looked at Fan Xing's silly appearance and shook her head silently. Pool Hall. It had been a week since the last encounter with Fan Xing at the bar. The first meeting in over 4 years. During this time, Kiao Chen hadn't mentioned Fan Xing's name once. He just smoked more and more. Kiao Chen sank 2 balls. While wiping his cue, Zhou Yuan leaned in and handed a folder forward. Kiao Chen glanced sideways, didn't take it, and bent down to shoot. Not looking. Zhou Yuan was surprised. You know what this is? Kiao Chen remained silent. Zhou Yuan sighed. The folder contained all of Fan Xing's information from the past 2 years. Kiao Chen continued his silence. Just as Zhou Yuan thought they were competing to see who could hold out longer without speaking, Kiao Chen spoke up. Holding his cue, his voice was hoarse. How has she been these past 2 years? Zhou Yuan's expression softened. Knew you'd ask. Got it all checked out for you. Kiao Chen turned his head to look at him. Zhou Yuan asked, You know Jiang Yuan, right? Kiao Chen nodded, having an impression of the guy. They all moved in the same circles, but Kiao Chen couldn't stand Jiang Yuan. The guy had no boundaries, dabbled in everything, and was bound to dig his own grave eventually. Last year, Jiang Yuan took a liking to Fan Xing, insisted on forcing her to be with him. Later, Kiao Chen's eyes darkened. His entire face fell. Seeing the warning signs of an outburst, Zhou Yuan swallowed and continued. Later, Fan Xing's agent at the time, Brother Sun, helped Jiang Yuan set up a situation, lured Fan Xing over, and even drugged her. Fan Xing didn't dare touch Jiang Yuan. To stay clear-headed, she smashed a wine bottle on her own head, cutting a gash. Heard the scene was particularly brutal, and Fan Xing still has a scar on her head. Kiao Chen's expression grew even uglier. Zhou Yuan thought for a moment and finished. That incident scared Jiang Yuan off. He didn't bother Fan Xing again, but he cut off all her resources, and it's been that way until now. Kiao Chun threw down his cue directly. Fuck. Afternoon sunlight filtered through the curtains. Winter outside was grey and white, but the sun's warmth felt genuinely warm when it came through. Fan Xing looked down at her phone. This was the first time Brother Sun had contacted her in half a year, saying there was a chance for a comeback, an audition, and that Fan Xing should grasp this opportunity well. The situation was unusual, but given how Fan Xing was struggling herself, she could only believe it was true. As night fell, the wind grew even more biting. The streetlights were bright, the city bustling with traffic. Looking out through the taxi window, she felt somewhat detached from this world. Getting out and standing outside the private room door, unpleasant memories from a year ago suddenly rushed back. She almost turned and left, but in the end, steadying herself, she knocked. It was Brother Sun who opened the door. He greeted her with a smiling face. Xing Xing's here. Fan Xing forced a smile. Brother. Before the word son left her lips, she saw Kiao Chun sitting opposite. The words stuck in her throat. Inside the room, Kiao Chun wore just a black shirt. Thin gold-rimmed glasses made his demeanor appear much gentler. But in Fan Xing's eyes, in just a few years, this person had morphed from a graceful young man into a wolf in sheep's clothing. Realizing what was happening, she let out a cold laugh and sat down. Brother Sun was shrewd. Even though he hadn't seen this shelved artist from his company for almost half a year, his service manners were still flawless. Let me introduce. This is Kiao Chun, young Master Kiao. This is Fan Xing. Kiao Chun said meaningfully. Miss Fan. Fan Xing's feet seemed glued to the floor. Brother Sun pulled her several times before she stiffly sat down. The atmosphere during the meal was off. Kiao Chun didn't show much, didn't push drinks or talk. Fan Xing was even more silent. Brother Sun tried to liven things up in the middle, but several attempts were stifled. While he was wiping cold sweat, Fan Xing stood up, saying she was going to the restroom. Kiao Chun's movements paused for a second, then he followed her out. Brother Sun saw this and felt a surge of delight. Kiao Chun came out after washing his hands, and saw Fan Xing standing by the window smoking. Outside the small window frame, night and neon lights intertwined. Fan Xing stood there, her gaze indifferent, exhaling smoke. She hadn't smoked before, and had never looked so weary. Kiao Chun frowned, took 2 steps forward. Before he could speak, Fan Xing stubbered out her cigarette, and came to stand before him. The man's nose bridge was straight, his skin clear, his thin lips pressed into a straight line. The eyes behind his glasses were unreadable. She gave a light laugh. Did Mr. Kiao arrange this meeting just to see how miserable I am now? Kiao Chun had drunk quite a bit just now. The alcohol rose and the fire in his heart flared up instantly. He licked the inside of his cheek, laughed angrily. Yes. Fan Xing's eyes turned cold. How childish. There's more childishness. Fan Xing looked at him, their eyes meeting in the air. The next second, alcohol fumes escaped Kiao Chun's nose, the corner of his mouth lifting. Spend one night with me, and I'll make you famous. How about it? Slap. Fan Xing directly slapped him. Kiao Chun's ears rang. His face turned to the side, his lips suddenly stinging, and the alcohol instantly cleared from his head. The air was utterly silent, cold enough to hear a pin drop. She had used all her strength. Just as Kiao Chun was about to raise his head and say something, he suddenly caught sight of Fan Xing's already reddened eyes, filled with tears and disappointment. But the next second, Kiao Chun heard her speak. All right. The air solidified in that instant. After thawing, the pace suddenly accelerated. The two didn't return to the private room. Kiao Chun called his driver. The car sped along. The spot on Kiao Chun's face where Fan Xing had hit him began to feel hot. His original intention had clearly been to help Fan Xing, but seeing her, somehow his reason collapsed instantly. The resentment and anger from his youth mixed with his current complicated feelings. The man stared blankly for a long while, then instinctively looked at the person beside him, only to see Fan Xing still looking out the window, not turning back. By the time he came to his senses, they were already at Kiao Chun's home. Fan Xing stood barefoot on the carpet, her heart a tangled mess like poorly woven wool. Kiao Chun took off his jacket. The two stood a short distance apart, their gazes meeting in mid-air. burning intensely. Breathing unconsciously grew heavier. Fan Xing couldn't stand this awkwardness. Steeling her heart, she stretched her hand out toward Qiao Chun. "Come on." Qiao Chun's breath caught. The next moment, he took 2 or 3 steps to Fan Xing, pulling her into a tight embrace. Bodies entangled, memories gradually blurred. Clearly a one-sided predatory transaction. Fan Xing inexplicably found a sliver of comfort in it. The curtains were thick. Once accustomed to the dark, Fan Xing could see the man beside her clearly. Finally, such close distance again. A wave of inexplicable sourness rose in her heart. Qiao Chun woke first the next day. He glanced at the time on his phone. Then his gaze was suddenly caught by the calendar on the side. It was already December 31st. There was warmth beside him. Fan Xing turned over. She was sleeping soundly, not waking up. A thin fringe hung over her forehead, a small scar visible upon it. Qiao Chun wanted to reach over and touch that scar, but just as he was about to make contact, his hand jerked back abruptly, as if scalded. In a daze, a particularly vivid memory was dredged up. Qiao Chun took a deep breath, closed his eyes for a moment, and still got out of bed. When Fan Xing woke, the other side of the bed was already empty, and her heart abruptly felt empty too. Yesterday, she had been carried, half asleep, to take a shower. Now, waking up, her head was heavy and aching. Fan Xing put a hand to her forehead and let out a soft "huh" sound. She had a fever. She hadn't felt well even before going to the dinner yesterday. After such a tumultuous night, it would be unreasonable not to have a fever. She felt she should go home. Probably Qiao Chun also didn't really want to face the awkwardness of waking up together, so he had left first. Her steps felt unsteady, as if walking on clouds. She put on the clothes she had draped over the side, picked up her bag, and left the apartment in a daze. Her phone was dead. She had originally intended to say something to Qiao Chun, but the low battery successfully diverted that thought. Only after leaving did she realize this was probably Qiao Chun's personal apartment, located in a rather upscale residential complex. It usually took a while to find the exit, and with a fever, she wandered around for quite some time. After taking a taxi home, Fan Xing took a fever reducer, plugged in her phone to charge, and immediately fell back asleep. This sleep was very restless, filled with constant nightmares. She didn't know how much time had passed before Fan Xing was awakened by her phone. Her hand fumbled around on the bed, found the phone, and she squinted, putting it to her ear. "Where did you go?" Fan Xing became a bit more awake, recognizing the voice. It was Qiao Chun, feeling unwell, and now also irritable from being woken up. "Couldn't I leave after the matter was done?" Qiao Chun was silent. After a pause, he asked, "Are you at home?" "Fan Xing, what's it to you?" Qiao Chun sighed. "Do you have to be so sharp with me?" Fan Xing gave a light laugh. "Then how should I be? Teach me." "Fan Xing, you..." Qiao Chun didn't finish his sentence before the call was disconnected. This call chased away much of her sleepiness. Memories from this period of reunion weren't very good at all. She admitted that breaking up under those circumstances back then had indeed been a bit hurtful, but she clearly hadn't even been able to take care of herself. Agreeing to his request yesterday was purely due to a combination of alcohol and anger clouding her judgment. A moment of impulsiveness. Fan Xing sighed, sent a text to the bar asking for leave, and burrowed back under the covers. She was awakened by a series of knocks on the door. Under the covers, she had broken out in a sweat. The moment she woke, a chill swept over her forehead. The curtains weren't drawn. Outside the window, city lights had begun to shine against the onset of night, ink-black darkness and lamplight interweaving, piecing together tiny, fragmented galaxies. The window was open a tiny crack. A cold draft swept through as she passed by, and Fan Xing instinctively shivered, grabbing a coat to wrap around herself. The knocking persisted. Fan Xing answered hoarsely, "Coming." As soon as the door opened, it was the neighbor auntie. Following her gaze, Fan Xing saw what was on the floor. The cake and flowers. "Xiaoan, I saw this when I came back. My nan said a man stood at your door all afternoon. Double quotes." Fan Xing was stunned. Sniffling, she seemed able to still catch a faint trace of cigarette smoke lingering in the air. Yet there wasn't a single cigarette butt on the ground, as if someone had cleaned up meticulously. The auntie looked concerned. Did you have a fight with your boyfriend? Fan Xing snapped back to reality and shook her head. No. The auntie talked on, picking up the cake and flowers from the floor and handing them forward. Young couples argue. It's normal. Just take a step back each, all right? Fan Xing was silent for a moment before reaching out to take the cake. Thank you, auntie. Ah, no need to thank me. Fan Xing went back inside and closed the door. The house was dark. Only the hallway light was on. Fan Xing didn't turn on the lights either. Instead, she carried the cake to the dining table. The flowers were champagne roses, the kind Kiao Chen used to give Fan Xing. She opened the cake box. A fresh dark green, matcha flavor. Today was her birthday. Fireworks went off somewhere outside, clusters rising abruptly. From here, through the small window pane, she could just catch the moment they bloomed against the black night sky. 2020 was about to arrive. Fan Xing thought to herself. She picked up the small plastic cake knife, scooped up a bit of cream, and took a taste. Despite the sweetness spreading through her heart, her eyes involuntarily began to redden. Scattered birthday wishes arrived on her phone. Luo Xin sent Fan Xing a large red envelope, along with greetings from a few other old friends. After hanging up, Kiao Chen didn't send any more messages. 6 years ago, in the winter, shortly after they had gotten together, Fan Xing's birthday arrived. January 1st, the first day of the new year. Particularly easy to remember. Kiao Chen had never celebrated a girlfriend's birthday before. With ordinary female friends, you could just pick any gift, that this was his girlfriend. Kiao Chen turned to look at Fan Xing. You. Fan Xing. The girl rubbed her hands together. Outside, the world was freezing. Her features were delicate, the tip of her nose slightly red, her eyes moist and gentle, looking both cute and pitiable. For a moment, Kiao Chen was captivated, then snapped back to scold himself for being useless. By the time he recovered his wits, Fan Xing had already been looking at him with confusion for a while. Kiao Chen gave a light cough. What kind of birthday gift do you want? Fan Xing was taken aback, then smiled. I thought you were going to ask something serious. You don't ask someone what they want for their birthday gift. Kiao Chen scratched his head. She had a point. Somehow, whenever he was with Fan Xing, Kiao Chen seemed particularly immature and clumsy. Casually, he took the girl's hand and tucked it into his own pocket. Their warmth mingled as they walked step by step towards the school. The dim streetlights stretched their shadows long. Passing by a flower shop, the rich fragrance of roses, mixed with the cold air, rushed towards them. Fan Xing paused. Huh? Kiao Chen followed her gaze. Fan Xing, how about you give me a bouquet of flowers? Kiao Chen laughed. Don't girls usually think flowers are tacky? Fan Xing pulled her hand back. That's just what they say. Who doesn't like flowers? Besides, I've never received flowers before. Kiao Chen agreed. All right, wait for it. Your brother here will be the first to give you flowers. As the words fell, snowflakes, unbeknownst to them, had begun to drift down from the sky. Tiny white snowflakes mingled with the floral scent. It was the first snow of that year. Seeing it, Fan Xing became completely excited. It's snowing. Kiao Chen looked at the exhilarated Fan Xing and repeated, Yeah, it's snowing. Fan Xing, it's the first snow this year. Kiao Chen replied, Yeah, the first snow. Fan Xing was watching the snow. Kiao Chen was watching her. The next moment, Kiao Chen stepped forward, pulling her into his arms. Before Fan Xing could react, her vision darkened, a shadow leaned in, and warmth covered her lips. This was on the main street outside the campus, where everyone was hurrying along. No one noticed a young couple kissing. A gentle caress, breaths mingling. For that instant, the world fell silent. Fan Xing closed her eyes. To this day, Fan Xing remembered that birthday. A few days later, at the central square filled with vendors and crowds, scents of flowers and sweet popcorn from unknown sources mingled in the air. A large LED screen displayed a countdown, and the crowd was jubilant. The two had just come out of a movie. Finding nowhere to park, They ended up in a remote corner, watching the lively crowd in the distance. They got out of the car and leaned against it. Qiao Chen wanted to smoke, but the moment he took out the cigarette case, Fan Xing's glare made him put it back. Qiao Chen couldn't help but smile, flicking the lighter open and closed in his hand, producing crisp clicks. Suddenly, fireworks bloomed against the pitch-black night sky. A stir went through the crowd, and the countdown began. 10. Qiao Chen covered Fan Xing's eyes. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1. The car's trunk opened. The crowd shouted in unison, "Happy New Year!" At the same time, Qiao Chen leaned close to Fan Xing's ear. "Happy birthday." It felt as if her heart stopped beating at that moment, and along with it, her ears seemed to go momentarily deaf. Everyone celebrated the new year. He only wished for the one he loved to have a happy birthday, year after year, safe and sound. The warm palm moved away from her face. For some reason, the clamor of the crowd seemed to float in mid-air. The beating of her own heart thundered loudly in her chest. At this moment, only the person before her was real. The instant her vision cleared, she saw a cluster of fireworks ignite at the edge of the sky, lighting up a large swath of the night, and a trunk full of pale yellow champagne roses. After receiving the flowers and cake that night, Sun, the agent who had guided her for several years, was replaced. Sister Wu took over directly. Sister Wu, East Entertainment's ace agent. She hit the ground running, quickly securing Fan Xing a supporting female role in a major IP drama. The male lead was Lin Dong, a current top-tier idol sensation. Fan Xing could figure out with a single thought that Qiao Chen had intervened behind the scenes. Auditions were in mid-January, script readings and training in February, and filming began in March. Sister Wu told her to quit her job singing at the bar, so she obediently quit. During this period, she didn't receive any news from Qiao Chen. Not a meeting, not even a text message. Since he didn't look for her, she didn't look for him either. Searching her heart, it wasn't that she didn't want to. Just ... She didn't know what excuse to use. After all, years had passed. This hurried meeting, just a few days. In a society awash with material desires and restless hearts, adult relationships could sometimes just vanish without a word. Seeing his unresolved past issues, Fan Xing didn't feel the need to swallow her pride either. Busyness diluted all impulses. On the day she moved, Sister Wu also asked about her relationship with Qiao Chen. Fan Xing didn't go into detail, just shook her head. The drama Splendor was produced by Lu Jiao. Fan Xing only found out after signing the contract. To speak of that history between Lu Jiao and Qiao Chen, if she didn't think Qiao Chen would be that petty, Fan Xing would have suspected he did it on purpose. But after all these years, the youthful stubbornness and pride were long gone. Whoever produced it, produced it. If it was on purpose, then it was on purpose. Right now, she just wanted to earn money. If there was a chance, she'd pursue her dreams. Year after year, no longer young, it was unbearably draining. The team atmosphere was harmonious. Even before officially joining the set, everyone had already immersed themselves in their roles. During training breaks, Fan Xing heard quite a few rumors about Lu Jiao and Lin Dong. Listening on, she even heard Qiao Chen's name. Yu Nuan was the female lead of this drama. A popular rising star with a great personality, not a hint of airs. Her favorite pastime was munching on melon seeds while dishing about the entertainment industry, often pulling Fan Xing along. Big gossip. I just heard Lu Jiao and Qiao Chen have an engagement arrangement. Hearing that name, Fan Xing's movements instantly halted. Fan Xing was silent for a long moment, offering no reply. Yu Nuan continued chattering. But I think it's more likely Lu Jiao and Lin Dong are together. Looks like our young master Qiao is getting his corner cut. Fan Xing watched Lu Jiao in the distance and Lin Dong, who kept glancing her way, momentarily speechless. At the last group dinner, she had seen Lu Jiao and Lin Dong kissing in the hallway. After a busy half-month, she finally had a night off. She had been involved in the crew's training non-stop during this time, unable to pause. Many household supplies at home were running low. Taking advantage of this break, she planned to go to the supermarket herself, also as a way to clear her head. Unconsciously nearing the end of the year, the weather grew colder and colder. Carrying a large bag of groceries back, just as she reached the entrance of her current apartment building, car headlights suddenly flashed on ahead. Fan Xing raised a hand to shield her eyes, watching the person get out of the car. It was Zhou Yuan. The headlights gradually dimmed. Zhou Yuan looked at Fan Xing and sighed. Coffee shop. The coffee on the table was warm, steam curling up. Zhou Yuan was usually lively and impulsive, the seemingly least reliable among Qiao Chun's circle. Now sitting ramrod straight across from Fan Xing, he looked somewhat awkward. He gave a light cough, even nodding to himself as if in self-affirmation. Logically, we friends shouldn't interfere in your affairs, but... Fan Xing paused while holding her coffee cup, looking up at Zhou Yuan. Under her gaze, Zhou Yuan felt a bit embarrassed. Fan Xing's looks were indeed striking. Previously at the bar, dressed like that, her vibe was cool and aloof. Now wearing a long dress and down jacket, face free of makeup, she looked gentle, domestic, with a soft aura. Otherwise, Qiao Chun wouldn't have fallen for her so hard. Brother Chun ... hasn't been normal lately. Working himself to death, not missing a single drinking session. Fan Xing smiled slightly. That means he's driven. Isn't that a good thing? Ending up in the hospital from drinking is a good thing. Fan Xing's gaze fixed, momentarily speechless. Seeing her expression, Zhou Yuan actually felt more assured. Good, if she still cared. That was good. Which hospital? Zhou Yuan replied. He was just discharged today. Fan Xing. Doppel Fan Xing. Is he okay? Is he okay? He was just discharged today. Fan Xing. Quotes Fan Xing. Is he okay? Zhou Yuan rubbed his nose. Well, this matter could be big or small. Probably just ... pent up, you know? Seeing Fan Xing's reaction, Zhou Yuan cleared his throat, clasping his hands together. At first, Qiao Chen wasn't this driven. His family's company, the path was already paved. But ever since that day he saw you, this guy hasn't been normal at all. I came to find you because I'm at my wit's end. This guy discharged himself and didn't even rest half a day before slipping back into that state. I never even saw him this driven during college entrance exams. A couple days ago we were eating together. I glanced at his phone screen. After some drinks, he just stared at your photo. Like a creep. Not saying a word, and not coming to find you either. Fan Xing's heart grew unsettled, her voice a bit hoarse. Zhou Yuan scratched his head. Back before Brother Chen left when we were eating, I mentioned Lu Zhao once. It was my big mouth, thoughtless. Forget the past, just talking about now. You might not know Brother Chen doesn't have that intention, but don't you know if Xiao Mei does? Isn't Lindong practically her accessory now? Hearing this, Fan Xing suddenly thought of long ago, her heart filled with a jumble of emotions. After speaking, Zhou Yuan felt a bit like laughing. He scratched his head, muttering lowly, "What a mess. I should have told you earlier. But Brother Chen said not to, so I just... Did you two break up because of this back then?" This question made Fan Xing freeze. For a long time, even now, she had kept thinking, what did she gain from that period with Qiao Chun? Later, she thought of many answers. Probably for many years to come, those memories felt like redemption to Fan Xing. Love and expectation, sweetness and longing. She had once received, once possessed them. In the dim times that followed, they were like candles, making the hardship less unbearable. And Zhou Yuan's question today was like a sharp blade, tearing open the dusty curtain deep in her memory, letting those regrets and grievances see daylight once more. So, how did they break up? Those past events, meant to be sealed away, a young person's fervor finally extinguished, snuffed out. It seemed to happen in just an instant. 4 years ago, the height of summer, the summer vacation of their junior year. Due to work matters, her father was used as a scapegoat by company executives, nearly entangled in a lawsuit. After a long stalemate, he was told to either choose to be fired or resign voluntarily. Proud his whole life, her father couldn't swallow his pride and wanted to fight to the end. But ultimately, people are like blades of grass, powerless. Thinking about it, how could an ant shake a tree? The day her father finally conceded, her mother left too. She remembered that day with absolute clarity. The sounds, the smells, the defeated middle-aged man, and her own instantly crumbling self. In the living room, beer bottles clinked together with a clang. The air was thick with the smell of alcohol. To a degree, Fan Xing felt one whiff could get you drunk. Her eyes stung. Almost numb, she changed into slippers at the entryway, stood up 2 fallen beer bottles, and went over to pull at her father. Stop drinking. Her father's gaze was somewhat unfocused, light not gathering properly, but he still recognized Fan Xing. This father, who in her memory could always hold up half the sky, now had a stubbly beard, dark circles under his eyes, utterly wretched. His voice carried a sob. Xing Xing. Xing Xing, your mother left. Dad has nothing left. Dad only has you ... Shaken by him, Fan Xing fell to her knees, a whimper like a small animal escaping her lips. As if driven by instinct, she hugged him tightly, tears immediately falling onto the man. She whispered close to her father, who was crying like a child. Dad, I'm here. I'll always be here. Before, you protected me. From now on, let me protect you. Okay ... The air, mixed with alcohol and a chilling cold, made it almost hard to breathe. After who knows how long, the suppressed sobs gradually faded. Fan Xing used her strength to help her much taller father to the sofa. The moment she bent down and straightened up, a brief dizziness from low blood sugar made her unsteady, and she knelt on the floor. Closing her eyes, the world plunged into darkness. Back then, she and Kiao Chen had a very good relationship, originally planning to study abroad together. After the incident, going abroad had to be postponed. Fan Xing originally didn't want to talk about family matters, but what kind of person was Kiao Chen? Resourceful, sensing something was off with Fan Xing, a little inquiry revealed everything. He transferred some money to Fan Xing to help her through the tough time, but Fan Xing returned it all. Kiao Chen then asked if they couldn't go together anymore. Fan Xing opened her mouth, but only silence remained. The young man was also silent for a long while, finally patting her head and saying, "It's okay. At most, I'll go a year later, or wait for you there." Fan Xing lowered her head, her throat tight, even more unable to speak. She was mentally and physically exhausted by these events, her life a mess. After all, young and restless and always sheltered in a greenhouse, she ultimately couldn't quite bear it. All her time was spent working part-time, earning money, and taking care of her father. She failed 3 courses that semester, and didn't even have time to harbor resentment towards her mother. Her parents' poor relationship since childhood had accustomed her to it. Thinking carefully, this day happening wasn't a surprise. The people in her memory seemed to exist only there. Later, Fan Xing heard from Zhou Yuan and others that Kiao Chen had a huge fight with his family. He wanted to delay going abroad by a year, but the schools overseas were already arranged. Moreover, how many years can one waste in a lifetime? Each year has its own tasks. Kiao Chen was perfect in many ways, except he was too deeply devoted. Having received too little companionship since childhood, his position meant friends often used him more than offered genuine affection. So once he got a bit of love, he didn't want to let go even half of it. To help Fan Xing's father resolve the situation, Kiao Chen sought out who knows how many connections. Dealing with those messy relatives, Kiao Chen secretly intervened behind the scenes countless times, fighting with his family, having his bank cards frozen, unable to ask others for money. He probably ate countless bowls of unhealthy instant noodles. Yet when he took Fan Xing out to eat, he still went to her favorite places, never skimping. Fan Xing could actually sense all these things. As they ate together, her plate piled high. Her tears would fall onto it. The conflict erupted after a group dinner. Persuaded by Fan Xing, Kiao Chen agreed to go abroad that year. His relationship with his family eased. His bank cards were unfrozen. Finally having some financial leeway, and with him about to leave, close friends clamored for a farewell dinner. After this meal, everyone had their own plans. The focus was seeing Kiao Chen off, a final get-together before he left. It was at this dinner that Fan Xing arrived an hour late, due to her part-time job. During the meal, Kiao Chen remained silent, drinking gloomily while looking at his phone. By the time Fan Xing arrived, Kiao Chen had already drunk quite a bit. Fan Xing offered to drink as an apology. Kiao Chen didn't stop her. Everyone watched Kiao Chen's expression, thinking it would be left at that. But Fan Xing still drank the entire glass, not leaving a drop. After drinking, she hurriedly sat next to Kiao Chen. The young man remained silent. The black short sleeve he wore made him look paler, more aloof. His slender fingers toyed with the wine glass. Under the fluorescent light, Fan Xing suddenly felt a headache coming on. She had drunk hastily. The alcohol was rising. The physical exhaustion from constant part-time work and mental stress instantly spread through her entire body, sparing not a single nerve. She felt tired, so tired. Even with Cao Qin here, she was beginning to tire of dealing with a dinner she once considered easy. She just wanted to go home, lie down, sleep deeply, and want nothing. The awkward atmosphere passed quickly. Kiao Chen ignored her. Fan Xing didn't speak either, staring blankly at the tablecloth. Her mind was on how her father was doing today, if his condition had improved. Zhou Yuan was best at livening things up. Within minutes, everyone's mood was lifted again. He was drunk, his tongue loose. He leaned toward Kiao Chen to propose a toast. "Brother Chen, this one's for you. Studying abroad. Don't forget us brothers. Also, studying in the same city as Lu Zhao. Don't let our Xing Xing down. Don't forget your families are pretty eager to match you two up now." "Zhou Yuan." Kiao Chen's voice was cold. This was the first thing he said since Fan Xing arrived. Though angry and not wanting to look at Fan Xing, he still glanced at the girl's reaction. Her eyelashes fluttered. She picked up her glass, drank a full glass in one go and said nothing. Zhou Yuan hadn't snapped out of it yet, just grinning foolishly. The meal was agonizing. After it ended, some felt it wasn't enough and wanted to go sing. Not wanting to dampen spirits, Kiao Chen agreed. Just then, a very soft female voice pierced the air. Very, very soft, yet instantly silencing the atmosphere. Fan Xing said, "I have something else to do, I won't go." The light in Kiao Chen's eyes instantly died. Almost without thinking, he grabbed Fan Xing and pulled her outside. Never having used such force on her before, her wrist ached from the grip. But Fan Xing didn't make a sound. Until she was dragged to the stairwell of the emergency exit and shoved against the wall, she only felt suffocated, needing to gulp oxygen. Through a crack in the window, a beam of light fell on Kiao Chen's face. The young man's face was full of anger, staring intently at Fan Xing. "Is it that important? That damn part-time job of yours is so important. I told you days ago about this dinner, and you still could be late." Fan Xing's breath caught. "Fan Xing, do you even see me?" Fan Xing avoided Kiao Chen's gaze, looking at her toes. But the cramped space forced her to look up, to face him. A nerve snapped at that moment. When she looked at Kiao Chen again, tears were already streaming. "Yes. Important. Of course it's important. I need money. Do you know how much I need money?" "You need money? I can give it to you." "Can I take your money?" "Why not? You're my girlfriend. When anything happens at home, I have to find out myself. When will you be honest with me? Can't you stop being afraid of troubling me?" This question, especially the last sentence, came out in a hoarse, low roar. The motion sensor light flickered on. The moment she saw Kiao Chen's face clearly, Fan Xing lost her voice. He stood there, a child born proud. Someone never bound by the mundane concerns of life and money. Someone incredibly strong, who never cried, actually weeping at this moment. Threads of alcohol scent drifted into their nostrils. The two stood there, eyes wet. Finally, Fan Xing asked, "Then have you been honest with me? Who is Lu Zhao?" Kiao Chen didn't expect Fan Xing to ask this, almost laughing in anger instantly. The next second, he leaned down and bit Fan Xing's lip. This kiss wasn't gentle at all, filled with boundless anger and infinite grievance. At first, Fan Xing resisted, but finally began to respond. The two of them, give and take, like a battle. In the end, neither of them went to KTV. Fan Xing didn't go home that night either. The young man's solid lines and muscles, black and white, hardness and softness, low growls and sobs, perhaps because of tears. The air felt utterly damp. Their time in the hotel was less like making love and more like fighting all night. Only at dawn did they each succumb to drowsiness. The moment dawn's light seeped through the thin curtains into the room, the air conditioner hummed, sending out waves of sound. Human thoughts suddenly smoothed out, the once surging temper and anger now calm and still. Fan Xing closed her eyes wearily. Kiao Chun silently held Fan Xing in his arms under the covers. "I'm sorry." The young man held her tighter. Fan Xing closed her eyes, burying her face in Kiao Chun's chest. He was right. She refused to say anything, refused to trouble Kiao Chun with anything. She was stubborn, always wanting to solve everything herself. After all, still young, facing life's drastic ups and downs, she was too tired to care for Kiao Chun, and had no mind to indulge his temper anymore. The red thread of love was originally held by both sides, but on her end, she let go first. Though not saying it aloud, Fan Xing had to admit, though she hadn't had time to grieve her parents fleeing in the face of disaster marriage, hadn't had time to feel the delayed sadness of her mother suddenly leaving her side, she even felt it was like a dream, just temporary yet, precisely, her mother had taken away all her sense of security. She would wonder, now there's Kiao Chun, but will there be in the future? The person she can rely on now, if he leaves her later. What should she do then? Moreover, Kiao Chun's parents didn't approve of this. Being prominent figures, they didn't lower themselves to confront a young girl directly, but their attitude was clearly displayed. Kiao Chun knew, she knew. With things like this, how could she continue pretending to be ignorant? Was this unsupported choice worth persisting with? Fan Xing's throat moved, her voice already hoarse when she spoke. "Between us, no need to say sorry." Kiao Chun didn't speak. Fan Xing felt the wetness on her neck again. But having cried all night, her eyes felt sore. No matter how sad she was inside, not a single tear would fall. She said hoarsely, "It's exhausting, right? You never say it either. Your parents don't want us together. Even freezing your bank cards, they don't want you wasting time on me. Fighting because of me, it's exhausting, right?" Kiao Chun's voice was strained. "It's not exhausting." As if afraid Fan Xing wouldn't believe him, he instinctively repeated, "Really not exhausting." Yes, they weren't fully honest with each other. But behind this lack of honesty was the purest, most sincere love of their youth. As adults, we become timid, learn to shirk responsibility, forgetting that our former selves once gave everything for someone, always fantasizing about shielding them from all life's difficulties. Sadly, with wings not yet full grown, the road of life is long. Storms are fierce. It's never that easy. Helping me beg everywhere, having unpleasantness with your family because of me, eating instant noodles every day but still willing to treat me to what I like. You don't say these things. But I know, Kiao Chun. I don't want you to be this tired anymore." As if sensing something, Kiao Chun grew anxious, rushing to speak before Fan Xing finished. "I want to," Fan Xing replied. "I don't. Let's break up." Skin pressed close. Kiao Chun's voice choked with sobs. "No breaking up." "Sorry. You just said between us. We don't say that." Fan Xing was silent for a long moment before answering. "Soon, it won't be us anymore. Words." After those words, neither spoke. Kiao Chun, stubborn like a child, held Fan Xing tightly, not letting go, as if clinging to something crucial. But finally, by noon, by the time the hotel front desk called to remind them to check out, Fan Xing hadn't relented. While Kiao Chun was freshening up, she got up and dressed. Outside, the sun was already high, the brightest, most brilliant sun of that midsummer. Kiao Chun half knelt before Fan Xing. "I'll take you back." "No need. My flight is on Friday." Fan Xing kept her head down. Kiao Chun lifted her chin, forcing her to meet his eyes, stubbornly repeating, "Friday afternoon, 3 o'clock flight." Eyes met. "I'll wait for you to come find me. If you change your mind, come find me." With that, Kiao Chun stood up and left first. Only then did Fan Xing look up. The young man's back was straight, shoulders broad, legs long. But somehow, that figure blurred. This was the last time the two saw each other 4 years ago. Fan Xing still couldn't go to the airport. The young man stood outside the boarding gate. His ticket changed from afternoon to late night, but he never saw her. Fan Xing received Kiao Chen's text while waiting for her father, who had taken sleeping pills, to have his stomach pumped and pass the critical period. The hospital late at night was cold and deserted, the smell of disinfectant filling the air. Even though it was summer, her hands and feet felt icy. The tightly wound string inside her body, along with the salty, astringent liquid in her eyes, seemed to have triggered a switch, surging forth. Her phone chimed with a vibration. 2 text messages lay on the screen. "You will definitely regret this. Fan Xing, you really will regret this." Did she regret it? Not really. The fact that seeing this person still made her heart flutter and feel hopeful didn't contradict her choice back then. No matter how many times she could go back, she would have still chosen to let go at that time. It was just that the years since had been so rough, making her a laughingstock as soon as she returned. Kiao Chen had never changed his phone number all these years. Fan Xing only found out the day Zhou Yuan came to see her. The crew took a break before the new year, giving Fan Xing a few free days. She had spent the last few New Years alone, not going to either of her parents' places. The day before New Year's Eve, she got up early, took out the ingredients prepared the day before, and started baking. It's said that one thing every adult woman ends up doing is baking. At the time, Fan Xing didn't believe it until she actually tried it and found joy in it, sighing that she too had to admit to getting older. By mid-morning she finished, carefully packed the treats in a box, and asked Zhou Yuan for Kiao Chen's location. Yes, she planned to go see Kiao Chen. She had grown up. Fate had been kind and cruel to her. Looking back now, it felt like a dream. The dream had ended, and she still didn't know which way to go. But that glimpse of someone in the river of time, someone who had illuminated her youthful world like a lighter. She missed him from back then. And she missed herself from back then too. By now, she had helped her father pay back some debts and saved up a small amount of money. Her parents had their own lives now, seemingly not needing her care anymore. With Kiao Chen's help, Zhang Yuan no longer dared to obstruct her, and she was getting acting roles again. Though she didn't know how far she could go in the future, at least without these obstacles, the burden on her shoulders was lighter. As a child, she was brought into this world in a daze, living step by step without understanding. Later, burdened by her family, living for her parents. Now, at 26, Fan Xing suddenly wanted to live for herself. It didn't seem too late to gain clarity at this age, but how many 26 years does a person have? Fan Xing arrived at the building of Kiao Chen's company at noon, hesitating with her phone in hand. This was the scene Kiao Chen saw when he came downstairs. Fan Xing wore a white down jacket, her complexion looking even paler against the cold wind, features delicate, the tip of her nose slightly red. Jeans and long boots outlined her slender legs. She carried something in her hand. He thought he was seeing things. The person who had been circling in his mind all these days suddenly appearing before him. Was she here for him? Before he could react, his body had already moved forward honestly. He casually wound the scarf hanging on his arm around Fan Xing's neck. The men's scarf was thick and long, leaving only a pair of eyes visible on her small face. Before Fan Xing could process it, she was enveloped in warmth. The two of them stood downstairs, staring at each other unabashedly for a long moment before Fan Xing finally offered the thing in her hand forward. "For you." Kiao Chen was stunned, a bit flattered. "For me? What is it?" "Fan Xing, I made it myself. Cookies. Thank you for giving me this audition opportunity." A sudden wave of disappointment washed over Kiao Chen's heart. He thought Fan Xing had something to find him about, but it was just for this. No need to be polite. It's a fair transaction. Can you stop being so sarcastic? As soon as the words were out, carrying the coy playfulness of the girl from the past, the tone actually made Kiao Chen's eyes sting. He wanted to say something to retort, but couldn't bring himself to ruin the moment. In the end, he held back, saying nothing. Fan Xing gave a light cough and asked, "Do you have time tonight?" Kiao Chen lazily countered, "For what?" "To thank you, I'll treat you to dinner." Kiao Chen's heart warmed instantly. He turned immediately. "I'm free, let's go." "Hey!" Fan Xing called out to him from behind. What's the hurry? It's only noon. Indeed, it was only noon. Qiao Chun clenched his back teeth, feeling embarrassed. When she wasn't around, it was fine. But with her right here, if Fan Xing took a step back, he felt like taking 10 steps back right now. Having been with him for so long, Fan Xing naturally sensed Qiao Chun's awkwardness now. She coughed lightly twice, taking the initiative to diffuse the situation. Then if you have time this afternoon, could you accompany me somewhere? Qiao Chun remained silent, picking up the small, somewhat mismatched package and walking ahead. Fan Xing lowered her head with a smile and followed. Listening to his girl give directions from the passenger seat, they first followed Fan Xing back to her place. By the time dusk fell and they left the last door, Qiao Chun finally realized Fan Xing had taken some gifts, dropping some off at her own father's place, then some at her mother's place. The past was long gone to dust. Before reconciling with time, Fan Xing had already reconciled with herself. They were even older now. A winter evening, cold wind and night both on their way. On this day, the adult world's New Year holiday began. Everyone was on the front lines of the Spring Festival travel rush, heading home laden with gains and nostalgia. The car happened to pass by the Drama Academy. The road in front they had walked together countless times. The trees were bare, dry grey branches, yet the warm yellow street lamps stubbornly added a touch of warmth. Fan Xing turned and asked, "Why aren't you driving?" The man's hands rested on the steering wheel. The black turtleneck sweater made the lines of his features appear even more fluid, well-defined outline. Qiao Chun was silent for a while before finally speaking. You ... aren't going home for Spring Festival? Fan Xing was taken aback, then withdrew her gaze, tone light. Not going. No one had asked this question before. In this setting, suddenly asked by this person, an unexpected sourness struck her heart, making her vision blur. She had to shift her gaze to the nearest street lamp outside. The car's heater was on. Very warm. Qiao Chun had a faint, refreshing woody cologne scent, very pleasant. The drowsy, comfortable environment also let Fan Xing completely lower her guard. She suddenly wanted to be honest with the person before her. Just once. She spoke haltingly. Qiao Chun, you were right. Without you, I really did have it rough. After my dad's trouble back then, my mom remarried quickly. Actually, their relationship had problems long before. I knew. But my dad was too fragile then. The day my mom sent out her wedding invitations, he drank half a bottle of sleeping pills. Yes, that was the day you went abroad. As soon as the words fell, Qiao Chen looked at Fan Xing incredulously. Zhou Yuan's information didn't include this. Only her conflicts with the agency and Jiang Yuan. Time seemed to suddenly rewind to the past. He was at the airport, ignoring others' urging, resolutely changing to the latest flight, waiting a whole day, thinking of countless reasons, but never this one. 100 different feelings surged up in that moment's sourness, heartache, a chaotic mix. But think, adults are stronger than we imagine. Surviving so many storms when young, just a momentary lapse. Later ... my dad bounced back quickly, remarried the next year. Speaking of this, Fan Xing's tone was lightly self-mocking. Of course that's a good thing. But now, my dad and mom past 50, with their new partners, both had children again. I'm like an extra person, each side finding me an eyesore, as if my very existence reminds them that their failed marriage really happened. Going home. Which home is mine? She should have hated them. But just as Fan Xing thought she thoroughly hated her parents, she suddenly realized they had grown old. 20 years of raising her were real. She held a grudge, yet had to reconcile. When living day by day, you don't feel it. Only when alone can you sense that in this life. The warmth you can grasp is truly too little. Hating someone, especially your own flesh and blood, is just too hard. Qian was silent. By nature, he was never a listener, let alone now. He simply couldn't speak. Fan Xing shrugged, forcing a light tone. Having a family like that is one thing, but work was also a mess. I don't know which god I offended ... Before the sentence could land, still hanging in mid-air, it was interrupted. Fan Xing's vision went dark, a wave of warmth. It was Qiao Chen's hand, covering her eyes. If you want to cry, Cry for a bit. Blocked, I can't see. As soon as he said it, Fan Xing's tears fell. Her heart felt squeezed into a tight ball, unbearably sour. She felt like crying, but also like laughing. Get off, you're smudging my mascara. Qiao Chun couldn't help it. His chest vibrated with a low laugh. Fan Xing forcefully tilted her head back to avoid his hand, fanning her hands beside her eyes. Okay, this is so awkward. Why is it so quiet? Put on some music to ease the awkwardness, okay? As soon as she finished, Qiao Chun smoothly turned on the car's sound system. The moment the intro started, Fan Xing's hand movements froze. Then, she lowered her head and chuckled softly. An old song. Miss Fan Xing's signature song, in fact. I pray to have a transparent heart, and eyes that can shed tears. Give me the courage to believe again, to cross over lies and embrace you. Whenever I can't find the meaning of existence, whenever I'm lost in the dark night, the car was still parked on the familiar small road, its black body merging with the night. Qiao Chun slowly leaned over to Fan Xing's side, pinched her chin, and kissed her. Tender and lingering, time peaceful and good. The future worth looking forward to. Neither of them said they were getting back together, yet naturally, their contact became closer again. On New Year's Eve, because of Qiao Chun's occasional barrage of texts, Fan Xing felt the holiday wasn't as lonely. But he did have family to be with, so once evening came, his replies grew fewer. Both her parents texted asking her over for the New Year's Eve dinner. Fan Xing declined. In the past, when she refused, her parents were used to it. But this time, her mom sent a message. Xing, it's Mom who's sorry to you. Reading that, Fan Xing's eyes instantly reddened. She wiped away a tear and went to the kitchen to bring out a plate of dumplings. The kitchen was filled with the warmth of cooking. Outside the window were countless household lights. The spring festival gala began. The crew group chat started exchanging red envelopes. Fan Xing grabbed a few, then turned on the TV, scrolling on her phone, starting to feel drowsy. Same every year, nothing new this year either. Finally, she was awakened by knocking on the door. Checking the time, it was past 11. She was deeply asleep, her brain operating on reflex to go open the door. As soon as the door opened a crack, she saw clearly who was outside. Qiao Chun. Now she was fully awake. He wore a casual sweatshirt inside, a long down coat outside. Used to seeing him in suits, this instantly made him look several years younger, a dream back to university days. Qiao Chun. What are you staring at? Not letting me in? Fan Xing was dumbfounded, finally finding her voice. How are you here? Your family. Qiao Chun. Same routine every year, nothing new. The old man can't stay up late, went to sleep, so I came over. Qiao Chun lowered his head, pinching Fan Xing's cheek. Came to spend New Year with you. He made himself at home, took off his shoes at the entrance, walked into the room in a few steps, hung his down coat on the side, saw the leftover dumplings on the table, crossed his arms and raised an eyebrow at Fan Xing. I'm here now, not going to offer me some dumplings? Fan Xing reacted immediately. I have more I made. I'll go cook them. Forget it. Qiao Chun reached out, picking one from what she had left, popping it into his mouth. Tastes good. Hearing that, Fan Xing pressed her lips together slightly. The two leaned back on the sofa, neither speaking. This was the first time in 2 years Fan Xing discovered that in her little room, which she always thought was cold and lonely, coziness could actually arise. Shoulders touching, body warmth close. The spring festival gala was full of festive cheer, starting the countdown to midnight. The host held the microphone. 10, 9, 7. Fan Xing counted down in her heart too. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The bell tolled for the Lunar New Year. Outside the window, pop, pop, 2 fireworks rose. Happy New Year. They spoke in unison, then both paused, looking at each other and smiling. Qiao Chun said, Before, I always thought I kept thinking about it, because being dumped by a girl in my first love hurt my pride. Men, pride higher than the sky. But in front of you, it seems not so high anymore. Qiao Chun paused, then said, Next year, come spend New Year at my place. I don't want to only spend this one New Year with you. He said it naturally, yet with an undetectable trace of caution. Fan Xing's heart warmed. In such a lively atmosphere, in this little space, she felt an immense inner peace. Okay, Fan Xing answered. I miss the person I was before. Want to find her again. Then she corrected herself. No, not exactly. I'll be braver than I was before. Qiao Chen's hanging heart settled. He stroked Fan Xing's head, feeling that fate was ultimately miraculous. The spark that once ignited his life, the brightest star in his world, had returned to his side. Life is short. The time wasted on you must also be reclaimed from you. Fan Xing, you have a home now, he said. Among the myriad household lights, there will always be one that concerns you.